What's up, everybody? It's Troy Cartwright. Welcome back to another episode of 10-Year Town. Before we get started, I wanted to give you a quick reminder to sign up for the 10-Year Town community, which you can do at 10yeartown.com. You'll be the first to know about new episodes, upcoming live events, and much more. We appreciate you. Thanks. Today's guest is Brent Cobb. Brent is a Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and musician. You know him from records like Shine on a Rainy Day and his brand new album, Ain't Rocked in a While. As a songwriter, he's had songs cut by Luke Combs, Keith Urban, Kenny Chesney, Miranda Lambert, and many, many more. He's got a truly one-of-a-kind story, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I know you guys will too. So without further ado, here he is, Brent Cobb. How you doing, man? Thank you for being here.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me.
How was the ride?
It was a ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll get to it, but I always start this thing off with the same question, which I know is sort of a longer answer for you, but how long have you been in town?
Well, I moved to Nashville in March of 2008.
Okay.
And then we relocated back to South Georgia in 2018.
Okay.
Sometime.
Yeah.
That was I think we started the move in January and didn't finish it until sometime around Christmas that year.
It took a while. Is that where you're from originally, South Georgia?
Yeah, from Americus.
Okay.
Georgia, which is it's like southwest central Georgia. It's about an hour and some change south of Macon.
Okay.
10 minutes from Plains, Georgia, Jimmy Carter, home of Jimmy Carter.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And how...
Can I drink this Miller Lite?
Yeah,
openly?
of course. Yes.
Can I say Miller Lite?
You absolutely can. And if they want to sponsor us later...
That's what I'm talking about. I've been trying a long time.
So, yeah, how did you wind up in Nashville? In 2008.
Well, it all started.
Yeah, how did it start?
Let's see. I met a distant cousin of mine who I'd never heard of. This is around 2004, I believe, or 5. I had just graduated high school.
Okay.
And or I had not been out too long. And we met at a funeral. It was Dave Cobb, who his grandmother was my great aunt.
Okay.
And I was a pallbearer in her funeral, and heard that he was this big time LA record producer. Yeah. And so we're all musical in my family, and I was young and arrogant and Southern and skeptical. And so after the funeral, we were just hanging out, as you do.
Yeah.
Under the pecan tree or something down there.
Yeah.
In Richland, Georgia. And it was like, here, you're a big LA record producer, what have you produced? And he started naming some of these albums, and then one of them was Shooter Jennings' Put the O Back in Country album.
Yeah.
And man, that's all, at that time, it had just, it'd been out a year or so, and it's all we'd been listening to, riding around, just listening to that Shooter album. And so my grandmother was shameless enough later to give Dave this little 6-song acoustic demo of mine that I had just made, and down in Franklin at my mama's brother's studio. He had a little basement studio, my Uncle David. And Dave is such a hating ass hater, he always has been. Yeah. He was real reluctant, apparently, to listen to that demo.
Yeah.
As you can imagine,
Of course.
I mean, it'd be strange right after your grandmother passed and you're at her funeral, and then this cousin you don't know, and you get it, and so, but he did. His wife talked him into it. 2 days later, he and Shooter called the house phone. I was still living at my folks' house, and I'd just gotten off work with the tree service crew, and my buddy was there. We just got, a little stoned, and I answered, it's like, hey, this is Brent around. This is Brent. This your cousin Dave. We met at my grandmother's funeral, and man, I listened to your demo. I got Shooter sitting there with me, and we love it. We want to fly you to L.A. and make a record. And I looked at my buddy sitting at my mom and dad's kitchen table, and I was like, holy shit. And that's what started it all. So I went out to L.A. first.
Wow.
And went back and forth for like a year and a half, and was making a record.
So did you? I'm sure you'd already been writing songs.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have you had a pretty good idea what you wanted it to sound like? Or?
I don't know if I did. I mean, I didn't really have. I had not been getting paid to write songs or anything, but I had been writing songs, and I knew. I knew what I thought I liked, but it was all over the map. Some things never really change. Yeah. But I did know that I was good at that, or at least, when a special, one of those ones that kind of fall out of the sky, you just, like so many people say, you just feel like you're channeling this thing. And I knew how to shut up enough to let a good song write itself.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I had been writing in that way. And, and so.
Well, let me go back a little bit further. So you said you kind of like grew up in like a musical family.
Mm-hmm.
So what was like, I don't know, tell me about that a little bit. Like, was everybody just playing guitar and singing songs? And
yeah, what you'd imagine, back porch picking. But then my dad and his brother had a band, and they played every weekend. And it was sort of a secondary source of income all my life growing up. My dad is a appliance repairman. He's owned his own business for a couple decades, but at that time they were weekend warriors and playing regionally. And there was this little spot called the Silver Moon down there that they had Doug Stone came and played, and George Jones and Chubby Checker, and my dad and my uncle's band would open all of those more national act shows. They were that band.
Yeah.
And I met all those people as a kid, and Doug Stone, even Doug Stone's mother loved my dad. She just loved his show. Yeah. And talked to Doug into flying, or having invited my dad here to Nashville, and this is in like 92.
Yeah.
And the story is that he was going to get a record deal with Giant Records, and he didn't do it because he wanted to be around and be a good dad. And
wow.
They were talking about how much he'd be gone. But so I grew up around it in that sense. But then on my mama's side of the family, they're more rock and roll. They're from Cleveland, Ohio, and so they're more Led Zeppelin and Beatles and that sort of thing. But it's all the things that you think. Back porch picking, around the campfire picking. But then there was a little more, professionalism happening as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's such a great environment to when you're a kid, man, you just soak that stuff up.
Dude, I can't imagine not having music be a part of my foundation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I would be doing in life, Like I said, I didn't have my first band's name was Blind Ambition. So, I mean, thank God for music, really.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and songwriting, period. And I say I'm a songwriter singer, not a singer songwriter.
Yeah.
I sing just enough to maybe get them heard, because they may not get heard.
Yeah, they gotta get out somehow.
Yeah, man.
Let's take a quick break here to tell you about our friends, the Graphic Guitar Guys. If you've ever thought about having a custom guitar, whether for merch, a giveaway, or a unique VIP package item, Graphic Guitar Guys makes it simple. They've worked with some of the biggest names in country music, handling everything from the guitar to full color graphics and shipping, and it's all for one easy price. They're also a great option for album pre-sale bundles or fan collectibles. I've worked with Scott and the rest of the team myself, and they really do make the whole process effortless. Check them out at thegraphicguitarguys.com. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I'm going to talk too much because I'm all wired up now after that drive was crazy, dude.
Good. So you when you're going back and forth, you're going from Georgia to LA. You're making a record
For that year and a half.
Yep.
And then
Did y'all record a bunch of songs, or?
we recorded 10 songs.
Okay.
And then 10 songs went on the album. And then in the meantime, when I go back to Georgia, I was playing in this cover band, the Mile Marker 5 band.
Yeah.
With my buddies. And there was this young up-and-coming artist from down the road in Leesburg, Georgia, that was, getting some traction, and named Luke Bryan. And it's only about 30 minutes south of where we're from.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to open a couple shows for him. And so my best friend that I played bass also in our band, Sean Radford, we've been best friends since we were 6, and we would instigate each other in times of intimidation, or if he was feeling a little shy,
Yeah.
in eras of his life, I'd be the one to push him, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, this was one of my shy eras, and this one night we were opening for him at Dingus McGee's. We were opening for Luke, and Sean was like, "Man, you need to give him a copy of that record you just made out there with Shooter." And I was like, "Oh man, I ain't gonna bother him, And well, if you don't give it to him, I'm gonna give it to him." And so he gave him that album that I had just made out in L.A. And Luke started getting in touch, and man, he was so on me back then about you gotta come to Nashville.
Yeah.
And and I was I just started going to LA really, and I was so reluctant to make the actual move out there. But
what was making you feel reluctant? You
just
didn't want your life to change?
It was, probably. Well, that weird transitional period between 18, 19-year-old to early mid-20s, you're trying to figure out, sort of, you feel like who you're going to be the rest of your life, and part of you wants to hold on to who you always were, or at least that's how I was, and it just can be a kind of an awkward moment in your life, and so I just thought, but you realize if you don't make a change, this later in retrospect that everybody grows up, and it wouldn't have been the same anyway,
Yeah.
And so I guess that's probably why I was reluctant. I never really, I wasn't the kind of kid from the small town that wanted to escape and bust out of there either. I was happy just maybe one day I wanted to either be in forestry or maybe someday take my dad's appliance repair business over or something, and I just enjoyed growing up down there. But all that started happening, and so when Luke was persistent about me coming here, I was like, man, I feel like I ought to at least move to LA first, because they were the first group that took any interest, and so I wound up moving to LA anyway for about 4 months, and there was a earthquake and a drive-by shooting. I almost got shot in, and this dude tried to carjack me, and it only rained one time. I lived right in the middle of Hollywood. I was on Willoughby and Vine, and I turned 21 in L.A., and all this happened in 4 months, all that. And so I was like, man, you know what? I'm going back home. And so I went back home. I was working with my dad, and one morning on GAC, you remember there was CMT and then there was GAC.
What was it? Just the same?
Like Great American Country programming or whatever. Mm-hmm. But they were doing we were drinking coffee, getting ready to get on the road, and All My Friends Say video came on.
Yeah. And
my daddy was like, buddy, you ought to give him a call, man. He seemed like he was pretty interested in you. And I was like, once again, I was like, man, I ain't going to bug him, That's been months ago. The very next morning, he called me and left me a message. Brent, this is Luke Bryan. You need to come. I'm telling you again, you need to come to Nashville. And so I came to Nashville.
Wow.
Yeah, that was March of 08.
Golly. What did you, how's that work logistically? Did you send him a text? You're like, all right, I'm coming. Where do I go?
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I called him and I was just, my wife at the time was in Atlanta. She was going to Mercer Pharmacy. She was a Mercer Pharmacy school.
Okay.
And Luke told me a certain time to be here because he wanted to bring me on a co-write. I'd never done a co-write and all that.
Yeah.
And I was that age where I didn't understand. Like, I was still thinking, oh, freedom, music, just schedules, you know what I mean? And so I didn't think it was that in stone. And so I remember like making a pit stop in Atlanta, and I just stayed at my now wife, but my girlfriend, she was just my girlfriend back then. I just stayed at her house that night that I was supposed to get to Luke's house. He called me the next morning after that, and he was like, where you at, man? I thought you were going to be here at, 8 or whatever. I said, I didn't know that it was like, scheduled. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I didn't realize how structured it all was.
Yeah.
It's like a real job.
Well, and it's like,
it's a cool job.
If you're going to write at 11, it's like, oh yeah, well, you got to be there at 11.
Totally.
Whereas like, yeah, when you're making music growing up, it's like, oh, well, I'll show up at like 3 or.
Totally.
Yeah.
I
get there.
You have this other idea, and it can be that too still, but
sure.
Yeah, if you're on other people's time and you're trying to collaborate and stuff, you ought to be a little respectful. That's why I felt so bad about being late here. I gained 20 minutes back though.
Oh, dude, you're fine.
It was crazy.
You were coming from a long way away, and I appreciate you making the trip, man. So did you make the right, or did you miss that one?
I missed that first day, and I pulled up at Luke's place. He and his wife were living in down in Cool Springs, or right around Brentwood.
Yeah,
and man, it was all just kind of just starting to pop off for Luke. He had all my friends say was happening and all that. But when I pulled up, he had a bass boat hooked up to his truck. He's like, let's go fishing. And I was just so intimidated by the whole moment. It just all felt surreal too, because my dad, of course, had his opportunity in 92, and it all felt, like serendipitous a little, and it felt what's the word I'm looking for? It just felt like this was
the moment.
Yeah. And so a lot of times I'm still this way. If I have a moment that I know could change my life forever, I'd choke every time. And so I remember getting in the truck with Luke, and we were fixing to go to like Percy Priest or Old Hickory or wherever it was, and I didn't even have anything. I couldn't even think of anything to talk about. I was just like, it was just all so surreal. And so we'd pulled off to he was going to get some gas and fill the boat up. And I think he could just tell. He's like, man, we don't got to go fishing. What you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to sit in the yard and like dip tobacco. And I don't know, man. I look back at some of the things that it's just like, wake up, you dumb young son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was super cool. We went back. He drew out the difference in mechanical royalties, and I didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing.
This is what y'all did instead of going fishing?
Yep. We sat in his yard.
He broke it all down for you.
He did the best he could.
God, what a great guy.
What a great guy. That dude that's a good dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, what an incredible story.
It's crazy. And the next morning we went and rode at Warner, my first co-write ever.
When they were back in the old building?
It was the big building. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, across. And we wrote in the Liberace room.
Okay.
And we wrote.
I don't think that was there when I got there.
Okay. Well, but back then it was all themed rooms.
Okay. That was a little bit before my time.
Okay. Well, so it was, Jay Knowles. So it was Jay. He's like willing enough
Yeah.
to write with this kid. And I just remember Luke, like, there was a big mirror behind us, and Luke was like sitting where you are, and Jay's over here, sort of by the piano. And then the mirror's behind me on this couch, and Luke's just like working on his smile in the mirror. And it was awesome. But once again, I was so just like, couldn't believe the moment I was in.
Yeah.
That I brought nothing to the table. I couldn't think of a single lyric. We sat in there for probably, 2 hours. I just couldn't. Luke was trying. He's like, just what would your buddy say about whatever? I just couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't do it. And yeah, we wound up, I think it was the same day maybe, we left there, and he took me over to Capitol, and we went straight to Larry Willoughby's office at the time. Larry was not far from retiring. I mean, he'd been doing it for 30 years, He's I guess the head A&R, vice, I don't know what exactly his title was, but,
Yeah, important guy.
Hell yeah. Took me straight to the office, made him listen to my version of Bar Guitar in a Honky Tonk Crowd. Yeah. Right there. And Larry was sort of checked out. Like he didn't give a shit. But yeah, man, that night we went and ate with we had dinner with Pete Olson, Aaron Tenenbaum. Wow. Me and Pete wound up working together for a little while, and it's just crazy, dude. Luke, like, really just like...
He kicked the door open for you.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
Very first, we didn't know each other,
Yeah.
He was a good dude.
Yeah, that's amazing. So did you figure out how to, write songs with other people?
How to bring it a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, man. It's so scary. It's so intimidating the first.
It still is sometimes.
Yeah. If it's a big writer, like an artist I really admire, I'm the same way, man. I get like,
I will choke every time.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you mean. That weird feeling, like you're uptight, I guess is really what it is.
Well, yeah, I don't want to, when you're writing with an artist, there's a little bit of that pressure that I don't want to step on the artist's toes if there's something that they need to say. Mm-hmm. But then there might be something I need to say.
And it might be what they need.
Correct. Yeah. And it's it can be an awkward balance. It's hard for me to figure out exactly who needs to say what when. Yeah. And
well, I think your songwriting is it's really great, and it's really, I don't know. I think like what gives somebody staying power is just like having a point of view.
I listened to your episode that you did about style and about long staying.
Oh yeah.
Man, I was like, this dude's reading my career right here.
Dude, you got style, man.
It wasn't always intentional. It wasn't. I always had faith in. I know that what I wanted to. How you said, like, I wanted stuff to last a long time.
Yeah.
You don't realize how long it takes to get something to do, like, to wind up eventually seeing any reward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where you lose. It's easy to lose the plot because you make a great record. Totally. And then nobody cares. Right. Because it doesn't meet some expectation that you had or somebody else had. Mm-hmm. And then, but a lot of times you look back later and it's like, dude, it's a great record. Man, and see what's crazy, isn't it crazy? Because that, you believe that. Even when early on you go, I know this is good. Yeah. But then, if you don't have anybody else saying that, you kind of don't feel validated, But then, if there's any way,
I guess I kept doing it because I just didn't have any other choice. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to keep, I don't know what the hell else to do.
Keep going.
Right. And until now, that first album has this one song on it.
Yeah.
This album's 20 years old. I wrote the song 25 years ago. It just went gold. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Look at that, man.
That's insane. That's the kind of thing that I wanted. I had faith back then.
Yeah.
But then when you...
But well, let me ask you this. Do you see that, like, that, because I think it's, like, interesting to see how it plays out, but, like, you make these records, but you've been touring the whole time.
Sure, most of the time.
And so, like, when you play shows now, do you still, I'm sure you still play those songs.
Yep.
So it's like, it was never a waste of time.
Nope.
But it's just, it's hard to, like, commit when, especially when you feel like nobody cares. It's like, am I sure this is my sound?
When you're in that in between then and now,
yeah,
it is real hard to believe that. Yeah. It's everybody loves a story after it's told. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the when you're actually in the middle of the story. Yeah.
That's hard.
It's hard, man.
Was there a moment along the way where you felt like, well, I talked to you on the phone earlier and you were like, well, I moved back home, and then I think you got asked to go on tour with Chris Stapleton or something like that. But is that, like, are there any moments like that you were like realized it was kind of working?
Every time I've ever been like, all right, I've had enough, something will happen like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every time. I mean, my whole career has been full of little things like that. The whole Luke Bryan deal, calling me that next morning after I'd said, nah, I'm not doing this. Moved back from L.A., here comes Luke. Well, then, let's see, my daughter was born in 2014. And up till that point, so I guess from 2008 till around 2013, I had toured decently. I wasn't like just going crazy.
Yeah.
Those last couple, 2011, 12, 13, we were hitting it pretty hard. I'd had a couple pretty big cuts, but then when I found out we were fixing to have our first child, it was like, all right, I got to come off the road, because I put a little EP out.
Yeah.
And, you know, it didn't do a whole lot. And I was like, I'm going to focus more on genuinely, actively trying to write for the country radio market.
Yeah.
I want to write doubles and triples every day. And I'm not going to tour maybe ever again. I don't know. So that's what I did for all of 2014 and 2015. And then in 2015, here comes cousin Dave. He swore he'd never moved to Nashville. And then he wound up moving to Nashville in 2012 or 13. He hated the weather. And one of the first things that he ever said, he was renting this spot down on 19th, and he was like, man, do you know Chris Stapleton? You know, man, I would love to cut a record on him. I had only wrote with Chris like one time, but I didn't really know him. And I was like, man, y'all would make such a great album. That'd be awesome. And then, I mean, he called everybody, like, I remember him talking about Isbell. Oh, man, I think he's the best, man. I would love to, I'm going to make an album on him someday. They didn't even know each other, you know?
Yeah.
And so, anyway, all these things wind up, we know what happens now.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a story after it's told, because you know the end. But, so that happens. Well, then Dave, in 2015, Dave hits me up and he goes, I'm putting together this concept album it's going to be called Southern Family, and I thought it would only be appropriate for me to have my own little bitch-ass cousin on it. And so he asked if I'd try to write a song for it, and so I wrote a song called Down Home, And then Miranda Lambert had been starting to be in touch and such a like supporter of mine around that, a couple years before that. And we had been writing, and he was like, oh, we got to get Miranda on this. And so we wrote a song on it. Well, then, so when me and Dave got back in the studio for that project, this was 2015, it was the first time he and I had worked together in that capacity, like artist, producer.
Yeah.
Like I had written, some Whiskey Myers stuff, and I'd been by there as a writer with the artist that he was working on. Wrote a song that Lucette, this artist, had recorded, and little things like that. But it was the first time that it was me as the artist again, and it felt like so good, man, to just be in there with Dave in that way. And it was like, we got to make a whole record. And so, and it was one of those, I was listening to Neil Medley's episode y'all did too. I love that dude. But y'all talked about this. It was a moment where I was kind of like, I wasn't thinking about touring. I didn't care about anything other than I just wanted to make an album.
Yeah.
That, like, if I died the day it came out, like, that's what I wanted to do. This is the album. Didn't matter if anybody heard it. And so we went in, we made Shine on Rainy Day, and then it came out in 2016. In the middle of all this, 2015, Chris and Justin Timberlake blow the windows out of the CMA award show. I remember my daughter I had just gotten her down upstairs. She was a little baby. My wife was working 12-hour night shifts, and so I was holding it down at the house, and I was watching that moment. Had the volume kind of down low, and in that moment, I remember like jumping up and down silently in the living room so I wouldn't wake my daughter up. And anyway, so all this is sort of like happening like it's all this serendipitous stuff happening at the same time again. And then Morgan Stapleton, Chris's wife, is from Moultrie, Georgia, which is where me and my wife got married.
Yeah.
And she is actually who became a fan of that Shine on Rainy Day album, and she is who wanted to invite me out on that tour.
Wow.
And so they hit me up and invited me, and so that's why and how I started touring again. So we did that. We did a couple shows. I guess it started in like 2017.
Yeah.
And and then in 2018 we were like going out west with them, and it was me and Marty Stewart and Chris Stapleton and Anderson East and
doing the whole thing.
Oh, dude, yeah, there was no way that I was going to be able to hold it down. But that was the year that I was nominated for a Grammy. And so 10 years.
Yeah,
exactly. And I know I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. It's a podcast.
I know, but I feel like I'm the only one talking. But it's what's crazy though, man, is and I don't even know where I heard this. It may have originated on your podcast. Okay. But one of my favorite things that I've ever heard about the whole 10-year town idea is that, everybody thinks it's 10 years to get that big hit or 10 years to make it or whatever. But really what it is 10 years. It takes 10 years to be around enough to where people don't forget you when you leave. That's what I did. I have not yet had a hit, but as a songwriter or anything, except that one little song that went gold of mine. Yeah. But I guarantee, but nobody forgets me now when I leave.
Yeah. Well, and like it's all. I think there's a couple things that you're touching on that I think are really important, which is like, first off, you say, "Oh, I've never had a hit." I'm using air quotes if you're listening.
All right, yeah. I know where you're going with this,
but you got to define your own success.
I have had a hit in my own heart.
Yeah,
by other people's definition.
Well, and I think by a lot of people's definition.
Sure.
So, but I think like it's so easy because you're in town, you're writing songs, you're like, okay, well, I gotta get a number one song on country radio,
right? And
then if I get one, well, I want to get that triple play,
dude.
And not everybody. That's not for everybody.
Correct. Oh, Chase McGill, baby.
He's done it a few times.
Yeah. What a dude.
But I think the other thing that you said that is just really cool and you know, it's like some chicken noodle soup for the soul or whatever, is like, I think there's a lot of times with myself and with other people I know where it's like, man, to make a great record, I gotta have a big time manager and I gotta have the booking. I gotta have all this stuff lined up so when I put the record out, it'll matter. But
just make that.
Just make the
rest
record.
Of stuff. It'll all happen the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
I think if you I'm with you, man. My number one rule of making a great album is the songs.
Yeah,
first, got to just have great songs. If you got great songs, you can record them however you want to record. I mean, those old field recordings, you know, out in the old blues stuff, like, are timeless songs.
Yeah.
They're great songs. It doesn't matter how they're recorded. Next thing is you gotta have great drums.
Great drums?
I think it's the most important, like the kick sound and the snare sound. If you got a great song and you got great percussion, done, son. It's gonna be good.
All right, I like that. I hadn't heard that before.
That's what I think.
Man, that's interesting that you say that though, because when I hear, oh man, I was driving down Music Row the other day. I don't listen to the radio too much, but
sure,
I'll try and stay current, you know.
For sure.
And Stapleton, Think I'm in Love with You comes on.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's the groove, man.
It's
You hear
good.
it right away.
Yeah.
And all those Anderson East records, the drums sound so good.
So good.
So that's the secret.
I think so,
It's
man.
the drums.
Yeah, and definitely the groove, but I think almost more than anything is the sound of the drums. You know, just the tone, the way. I like a good old boxy kick drum. You know, just a dead ass snare.
Yeah,
You know?
I love
I'm
that.
cussing too much. Has anybody ever cussed on this podcast?
All the time.
I don't think so.
It's not for kids. It's okay.
Sorry, children.
Well, we got a little bit of time left, but
We got
Man,
1 minute. Look,
I don't even know where to go. We got 10 extra minutes.
we've made the best of the. Oh, do we really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, I just I guess it's kind of on topic, but I just been digging through the discography today. You know, and I think it's really cool. Every record you have has its own kind of unique fingerprint, you know? And I really admire that. I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but it's, you know, it's cool. It's like there's an evolution, but it's all the same.
Yes,
It's the same guy.
and no. I think it. Once I finally realized, all right, I'm Southern eclectic, and so sometimes it rocks, sometimes it rolls, a little country, a little soul, but it's all Southern. It's all comes, you know, and most of the music that the whole world is aware of, you know, comes from the American South, and so I think that opens the doors to do rock, roll, Southern country, you know, all the things. I really appreciate that because I do try to have a central foundation of everything, or the root system.
Yeah.
The branches all come from the same tree.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I think it's
Well, when you're like, because you just made like I think it just came out with the band.
I Ain't Rocked in a While.
Yeah,
Me and Neil Medley wrote that song, and Adam Wright.
two great
That's
writers.
that's a fun album, man.
Yeah.
We had a good time in there.
So were you like thinking about that beforehand? Like, man, all right, I want to make a. I don't know. Does that make sense? That you're like, I want to make a rock record.
I want to make a rock record.
Yeah. So did you go write songs for it, or did you already have them? I guess it's
both. It started out as my son and I had gotten him a drum kit.
Okay.
For his 4th birthday, and we was in there. He's jamming. I had the electric hooked up to my amp in his room, and he was like, he loves rock, man. He wants to rock.
Yeah.
And he's like, Daddy, play some rock guitar. And so I was like, hit a little lick, and he wasn't in. He's like, no, play some like rock, Daddy.
Yeah.
And so I hit another lick. He didn't care. And he's like, Daddy, play some rock and roll guitar like Matt Man, which is Matt McDaniel, who plays with my band. And so I started coming up with that riff for Ain't Rocked in a While.
Yeah.
And then that just led to a whole album of like, oh, like I got to prove to my son that I can rock and roll.
Yeah.
Too. But, you know, I came from that too. But I just, I'm with you. Everything that you seem to represent on these episodes that I've listened to it's exactly how I feel, man. Especially that last one about just doing stuff that lasts long term.
Thanks, man.
Is well, I think people need to hear that, especially in this climate. You know,
man. When I made that episode you're referring to, it's like it's a little solo pod I just did. I did it for myself. I need the reminder because I'm freaking out like every day. I'm
so
like,
hard, man.
And I've been working on this record for like 2.5, 3 years, and you know, I've faced a few moments of like, this is ridiculous. I gotta stop.
Absolutely.
I just can't do it anymore. And so I almost kind of do this stuff as like to myself. And then when I was getting ready to post that, I listened back to it last night. I was like, I kind of needed to hear that.
Yeah, man. Well, look, dude, and anything that I say, this is me being a champion to, you know, like my buddy Aaron Ratier.
Yeah, my buddy.
Come on, man. I've known that dude. I helped get him his first deal, you know, as a songwriter and with Dave and all them. And he used to be like my little secret best friend songwriter, you know. And now it's amazing to see that pop off. But he never cared to do anything other than
what he was doing
right then, you know, that was it's timeless, you know.
Yeah.
Again, this sounds like I'm bragging or something. Chase McGill played banjo with me for like 3 years, you know.
Wow.
His first cut as a songwriter that also helped get him his deal was the song "Don't It."
Yeah.
Kenny Chesney recorded.
Of course.
And Chase called me. I don't know. He probably didn't listen to this, or he'll give me a hard time. But he called me when Sunrise, Sunburn, Sunset, Repeat came out and it went #1. And he was down at Losers celebrating. He's like, man, I'm holding my baby, you know, in diapers. He's like, man, I had to call you and just tell you thanks, man, you know. And he's like, I learned a lot from you those years. Like, man, don't tell me that. Tell everybody else that. But my point is, I've been around for so long and I've seen people like just surpass me, you know, and have all these huge singles and #1s. And sometimes I get discouraged as well. I get discouraged if I walk into a right with whatever radio artist and they go, I want to do what you do. And I go, what I do don't pay as much as what you do. And so it's good to have a fingerprint.
Yeah.
But it also can make you wonder, you know, if it's worth having it. But then you wind up having a little gold that I own independently, you know.
Yeah, it's special, man.
It can be done, everybody.
Yeah. Well, man, before we get out of here, I mean, I feel like you've just given us so much advice already, and I really appreciate you taking the time. But I do always like to ask if you could like go back to younger you and tell him something. What would you say?
You are probably right. Don't doubt it.
The intuition is correct.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Don't worry too damn much.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks very much.
I appreciate it.
For having me. Thanks for doing what you do.
That's it. That's the pod. See you later. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of 10 Year Town. If you want to follow along with the show, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 10 Year Town Pod. And you can find me, your host. I'm at Troy Cartwright. or send me an email, troy@10yeartown.com. We'll see you next week. Thanks.